Bapdada saw the results of the 4 subjects in 3 stages. What are those 3 stages? The first stage, to what extent you have become one who has thoughts of the original self. To what extent you have become one who has the thoughts for your original self. Second, to what extent you have positive and pure thoughts for those who are in close relationships and connections with you. Positive and pure thoughts for those who are in close relationships and connection to you. And the third stage, in terms of world service, to what extent you have become a world transformer. To what extent the stage and percentage of transformation is revealed. Through the results of these 3 stages, the results of all 4 subjects become very clear. First one is one who has thoughts of original self. And second, positive and pure thoughts for those who are in close relationship and connection. Third, to what extent you have become world transformer. To what extent the stage of percentage of transformation is revealed. World transformer means you are revealing your complete and perfect stage to the world, and that is transforming the world. Through the result of these 3 stages, self, close relations, and the world service, world transformation, these 3 stages, the results of all 4 subjects become very clear, right? So how do we do that? We need to have Gyan. We need to have power in that stage, which is yoga. We need to have Dharana, which is that Gyan and yoga should come in our behaviors and actions, interactions, Dharana. And then the service is your presence should start revealing, making a difference in the self, how you feel about yourself, how you interact with others, and the world. So this is the basis of the whole Murli. And again, I'll read, to what extent the stage of percentage of transformation is revealed. Through the results of these 3 stages, the results of all 4 subjects will become very clear. Baba especially checks the first stage. To what extent you have become one who have thoughts of the original self. The results of all 3 subjects are based on this. Check for how long you maintain thoughts of the original self throughout the day of your Adi Swarup. Because of being a world transformer, you continue to make plans for world transformation, and you also continue to fix a time for that. By using the right method, you also continually have different thoughts and plans for expansion. So do you also become one who has thoughts of your original self and think every day about new ways and new methods of how to become perfect? According to the result, you make more plans for third stage. Only sometimes you do have zeal and enthusiasm for making plans for the first stage. What is the first stage? To have the thoughts of your original self is the first stage. For sometimes, time draws your attention, or some circumstances or results of a particular subject draws your attention. However, this attention only remains intense for a temporary period. In the result of the second stage, there is slightly greater percentage of those who have pure and positive thoughts for others than for those who maintain thoughts of original self at the present time. They have pure and positive thoughts for others compared to maintaining your thoughts of original self for the self. However, there cannot be success or completion of task or perfection of one's stage until the speed of the first stage has accelerated. For this, make plans for the self. Of course, there is temporary progress through programs, but the method to have permanent progress is to become one who has thoughts for the original self. So, Baba is telling, put yourself first, and then think about the people who are very close to you, and then think about world service. But in fact, what Baba has seen is we put world service before, and then within the self and the other people, we put other people before in having positive and pure thoughts for other people, rather than having the thoughts of our original self for ourselves. So Baba says we have to reverse the order. First have the powerful stage for yourself, then only you can attain success in stage 2 and stage 3. According to the present time, the speed of your effort should be in the form of concern for effort rather than just thinking about that effort. For example, you should have a concern to have the thoughts of your original self, right? Anadi, Adi Swarup. What is the Adi Swarup? Original form stage? There is divinity. Do I have the divine thoughts for myself? Do I feel that divinity within myself? Am I holding that stage? And that should not be just thinking about making effort to have Adi Swarup. Instead, you should have a concern. There should be chinta for the self. Of course, you make special programs for service and you are concerned day and night as to how to make them successful. And for this, you make your day and night equal. However, this concern is a concern that makes a form of happiness. It is a concern that finishes all other concerns. Just as you tie yourself in one pure bondage in order to free yourself from all other bondages. Although it is called a bondage, it makes you free from bondage. In the same way, although you may call this a concern, in fact, it brings you the attainment of the inheritance from Baba. Similarly, through this concern, you are easily able to create a stage of being constantly content, cheerful, and like a lotus flower, which is detached and loving. Through this concern, what is a concern again? Concern to have that Adi Swarup, Adi, thoughts of Adi Swarup. You are easily able to create a stage, the sthiti of divine stage, the stage which is constantly content, constantly cheerful, and detached and loving like a lotus flower. At present, you think about how it should be, and you even think that it isn't according to what it should be. Your thinking is in the form of it should be like this, I should do this is how I should do it, I should do this. However, you have to become and leave the form of your concern. So instead of thinking about it, you have to live up to it. You have to become this and make others this too. To say it should be like this is not the form your concern should take. Unless you adopt a special method for yourself, you will not be able to have that form of concern. Try to see the subtlety of what Baba is asking. Baba says it to say it should be like this, like to say that I should be divine, is not the form your concern should take. Unless you adopt a special method for yourself, you will not be able to have that form of concern. Do you know what the special method for this is? What new things will you do through which you will be able to see success with that method? By following the old methods. Even the form of that old method no longer remains. But what remains instead? Why is there carelessness? Sometimes, after you start to do something, the main reason is that even now, the intellect does not have full faith in the completion of time. That leads to carelessness. Lack of faith that the time is about to end, completion of time. Because of not having this fixed, you remain careless. Just as you stop being careless about your service plans from the moment you fix a time, in the same way, if you fixed a time for your own progress, you would experience a special result from that also, would you not? When you fixed a special month for staying on the pilgrimage of remembrance, you saw the practical fruit of success of the accurate method resulting in the special atmosphere. Similarly, how will you become an embodiment of success unless you fix a time for your own progress? That is, by such and such a time, you should become an embodiment of success in terms of these specialities. That according to the time, you definitely have to become one who maintains thoughts of the original self and who also have positive thoughts for the others. So unless you become your own teacher and tie yourself in this bondage, you will not be able to free other souls from all their bondages for all time. Do you understand? So Baba is telling, have this bondage, and what kind of bandhan? Lock yourself, give yourself a deadline, and commit to that. And what is the deadline? Deadline is to become, right? Not just to think about it, to become your Adi and Anadi Swarup, original self. What will you do now? Just as you have special week or months for different topics for service, in the same way, together with service, also fix a time for your own self on the basis of using different methods. This year is for making such special effort. Of course, time is getting shorter, but as you progress further, you will have even less time for your own self. As you progress further, you will have even less time for yourself. Time is getting shorter. What will you do then? People today say that at least they previously used to have time, but that they now don't even have that time. In the same way, you should not complain about yourself like this later on, saying that you did not do whatever you had to do for your own self, because the closer the time comes, the more your time will be used in distributing the prasad, the holy food of great donation, Mahadan and Vardhan, blessings to all the souls of the world. The closer the time comes, the more your time will be used in distributing the prasad of Mahadan and Vardhan to all souls of the world. This is why there is not a lot of time left for being one who maintains thoughts of the original self. Acha, to such Mahadani, Vardani of all blessings, bestowers of all blessings, to those who maintain thoughts of the original self and who have pure and positive thoughts for others, to those who are constantly merciful towards all the souls of the world, to the master oceans of all powers, to the souls who are instruments to bring benefit to the whole, to the world through their every thought and word, to such victorious souls. Bab love, remembrance, and namaste. Mahadani, Vardani, one who have thoughts of the original self and pure and positive thoughts for others, constantly merciful for all the souls, masters, oceans of all powers, souls who are instruments to bring benefit to the world through their every thought, word, thoughts and words, such victorious souls. Bab love, remembrance, and namaste. Short but very precise directions from Baba today. Let's take a minute. Fully relax your mind, your heart. Allow your mind to be gravitated towards your original self, Adi Swarup. Very pure, very elevated, very divine self. Very steady in your presence. Very comfortable in your divine form. And looking at everyone who is close to you as a divine being. Have this pure vision, elevated vision for all the souls who are very close to you. Holding your divine stage, seeing everyone as angels with their divinity, as an angels, as Baba's army. Extend these pure vibrations into the world, detached and loving. Like a lotus flower, spreading the fragrance of divinity and transforming the world, touching every soul, giving this pure awareness, pure experience of their own divine self, of their own divinity, and experience of the whole, and the experience of the most beloved Baba. Make yourself very comfortable in your divine stage. As you find yourself anchored in your divine self, binding yourself in your original divine stage. A deep concern to stay anchored to your divine original self, your divine self, full of virtues and powers. Make your own self-progress a priority, and then extending your divine self to all the angels who are close to you. Om Shanti, Shanti. Such a beautiful Murli. So, what from today's Murli that you're taking for your practice? How are you going to make this your priority? Please unmute yourself and share your point from today's Murli. how are you going to anchor yourself in your Anadi stage? What does it mean to you, for you personally?
Om Shanti, brother.
Om Shanti.
The root. Today, when Baba just spoke about the 3 stages. So if you just see, even in these 3 stages, he has anchored fully on the first stage. Because if that first stage, or what I call as, who am I? So I just remember when we came to the Gyan, we were given 2 examples, which was always rooted in my mind. One is, I am on a phone talking to somebody. So that one difference, that I am different, the telephone is different, the instrument is different. So there itself, to give a clear difference about who am I and what is that I doing. The second analogy which was given was, when a person is dead, we don't say Mr. Chowdhury is dead. We say, oh, his body is lying there. Then also to show the importance of the soul, to say once that it has gone, the body is nothing. So that clear kind of, what to say, clarification or thing which we did when we did our first lesson really would have given, but we know it. Like I'm talking to you, I know all this, but have I really understood myself like that? Do I really think myself to be separate? So what we have to do for is, we have to keep asking, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? What am I? What am I? Then, as if like it's a new child every day, this soul of mine, what are the thoughts which are coming in? How do they go? I know it's been happening for 63 births or so many births, but every day checking it and saying, how did that particular thought touch my body? What should I do so that my mind becomes powerful? All these kind of things, if I process myself for myself, my original self, and know the difference between, see, it's so easy to understand my body. Science books tells you everything, atomic energy, this energy, that energy. But nobody is going to tell you about yourself, because you as a soul and Harshabhai as a soul, others as a soul are absolutely, absolutely different. So once I get that, love myself, understand myself, believe in myself, love, then the second stage, love others, have positive things for others. Then when that is done, the world transformation. The same thing Baba mentioned in yesterday's Abhyakt 1. When we say, Baba says, first learn to have pleasure in yourself. So what do children say? Baba, I can do pleasure in myself, but to bring about pleasure in others, pleasure in connection with others is difficult. So I was just comparing this first lesson, how Baba keeps touching, which we are still, I feel, in a stage of grasping and absorbing. That is what I would like to do. I would like to totally do a PhD on myself.
Beautiful. It's a nice point that you brought up, Girjaben. So we just had a retreat, and one of the point uh, um, that came up in the discussion is, understanding is one thing, experiencing is another thing, experience converting into a power is other thing, the power becoming your natural self is at the different level altogether. That your presence itself has so much power that people will start feeling straight away peace, love, happiness just by your presence. So that presence, that stage, you're not even even making an effort to have an experience, or you're not even making an effort to get or embody something. You are actually, your sense of self is totally transformed into a Shakti. So, so we have to get into that original self, and especially when Baba was talking about original self, how does that sense of self feels like? Experiencing it, feeling that power, using that power, radiating that power from our presence, and that will start, that radiance will start coloring the way I start looking at people. For example, if you remember, there was a time when I think especially double furnace, when they used to go to Madhuban initially, they there used to be Mohini Devi, like little Mohini they used to call. So she used to go into trance, and then after, especially around Diwali time, they used to start dancing with each other. And then Mohini Devi used to go into trance, and then she used to see that, oh look, who is dancing with who? And then she used to say like, no, you are not going to dance with her. She is a prince, and then there is another prince, or she's going to dance with that prince, not with you, and then you should dance with these people. She's trying to, she was kind of confused and doing all this stuff. So in other words, it is a state of a translucent self, where you can see through the current stage, you see the original self of the other person. And then I was wondering, as the time comes closer, that is how you will be seeing each other. You will be seeing not only your own original self, but you'll also start seeing their original self of the other person too. So I think especially when Baba was talking about the stage 2, pure and positive thoughts for others can only happen when you are very much comfortable in your original form. So it should get to a stage when you start coloring your perception. Your drishti is colored by filtering through all the clutter, and then seeing the original self of the other person, and then interacting with the original person on the other side. See, I think when Baba is telling you should have a concern to get into that position, rather than just think about like, wow, that is good thought. No, now you have to get to that place. You have to build that stage. Yeah, thank you for bringing that original lesson. The first lesson will become the last lesson, but the depth is very deep. Baba is taking us into. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share? Any thoughts? What point you like from today's session?
Bringing a complete balance between self transformation and world
Mhm.
transformation. So there should not be an overdoing anywhere.
Yeah. And I mainly like this point where Baba was talking about, as the time starts coming closer, your personal time will be used for serving the other souls. So you will not have time for yourself. So you rather focus on yourself now before those days starts coming. And then we feel that we already see a lot of our personal time. The need for our personal time for the world service is already there. Yeah, I like this point. Like, can you sense that people don't have time for yourself? There will be time, your time will be used in distributing the prasad, and you become Mahadani and Vardani. So then once you start getting into that role, which means there is no time for your any growth. There is no growth for the self anymore. Yeah.
Today,
So
Baba, gives clear direction on this. So there's a flow chart. If we look at all these 3 points, the
yeah.
first point is about self-transformation,
Hmm.
which is Gyan and Yoga.
Hmm.
Second is about Dharana. And
Hmm.
the third point speaks about Seva.
Hmm.
Complete flow chart with clarity as to what needs to be seen at what level.
Very true. Nice observation. Gyan and yoga towards the self. Dharana is how we connect to others. And seva is the third. Very nice. Anyone else?
Brother, I just wanted you to clarify something. See, as somebody just rightly pointed out, Baba said, do not just think, live the concern. And what the analogy, even in yesterday's Murli, Baba said, to live a life with a lot of thinking is not living. He's saying you're telling everyone Rajyoga is the art of living. Because, take for example, I'm very good in my first lesson. I say, Baba, I enjoy myself. I'm so happy with myself. I love myself. I'm the best, unique person in the world. Nobody can be like me. But stop. Lekin, Baba, enjoying relationship and connection with others, thoda gadbad hai, Baba. You know, we tell Baba that. There, even in that Murli, how clearly Baba says, there are, especially he mentioned about we double foreigners. We are not ready to share a room with anyone. We are not ready. We say, okay, but we say, no, I want solitude. I can't even leave alone a person snoring. I can't even adjust any person in my thing. So the second lesson which today Baba has given others, positive thoughts. You know, in actual practice, if you see, kuch to hota hai wahan. And because only I am good myself, I'm perfect. Okay, first lesson, fine. But what do I do? Because still it's going on. I have seen in your contact with either Brahmin family or with others.
Hmm. Yeah, and then actually, I mean, so there was some discussion that we had in our retreat, in our weekend retreat today. One of the point that came up is like, okay, what actually is happening? And then the same Murli was happened today, like today is Sunday here. So the point that came up is, in solitude, we are all okay. What actually happens when we are with other people? So if you actually see what bothering me about the other person, that behavior is getting triggered inside me. In other words, the counterpart of their not so pleasant behavior is there inside me. So in other words, there is some weakness within me, right? So others are the mirrors. So especially when you come into connections and relationships, and especially when you come in relationship with Brahmin family, because we lived with each other for centuries, not centuries, ages together, like all for ages together, right? So we know our deepest sanskaras of each other, right? Consciously or subconsciously, we can trigger each one's buttons very deeply. And that is why it is very important to be with Brahmins more, because Brahmins can bring out the best in us, and Brahmins can be the mirrors to recognize what is the deepest root of our sorrow too. Follow, right? And that is where this second stage of having the pure and positive thoughts for others is the way to recognize what is bothering and what is the counterpart inside myself that I have to release. Follow, right? And at the end of the day, it is all for self progress. Even other people are also there as a test paper, and the test paper is going to test what is there within me eventually. And then that was really hitting. And then one of the technique that bubbled up in our discussion was, try to write down all the things that is really bothering you about the other person. When you write down, that is the same list potentially you will also be exuding in a relationships. Say if somebody else um, mm, are not uh, 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 are are not selfless, right? So they are always claiming me, right? And when you see other person doing that, if it bothers you, so when you write it down and then when you find for yourself, like, oh look, I also do sometimes me, and when you recognize that the same behavior I'm also exuding, when other person is also exuding the same thing, which actually bothers when I do myself, is actually getting triggered. Follow, right? So other people just becomes like a mirror and it just amplifies and it really irritates us, right? So that was a really interesting point that came up in our discussion, like, so how to use people, how to use Brahmin family, and the best people to get a feedback is people who you live with, right? Our colleagues, our friends, family, our parents, our siblings. So these are the people who can tell us really how, these are the people who are really going to make us perfect. Yeah, that was really nice. Thank you. Anyone else? Rachna Ben, Balwinder, Chandrakala Ben, Sakshi, Ramesh Bhai.
So you're saying I should think I'm transparent, as if I'm walking in a room where everywhere there are mirrors. Everyone is watching. So I
That,
better behave properly. I
yeah,
think that's the caution you're giving.
yeah, no, we need to use it for our benefit, because every situation that bothers us, there is something within us that needs some transformation. Say if other person is really not so good person, and if that doesn't even bother us, and then we just say like, well, it is their own drama, hope he feels good, and then you start giving sarkash without getting irritated, that means that there is no um, there is uh, no negativity inside myself, to be clear. So if somebody else's weakness is bothering me, that means there is a part of that which is resonating within me that is actually getting ruffled up. So the minute I recognize that, like, why? Because we, as a Jnani souls, we know everyone's role is fixed, drama is predestined, nobody can snatch away my bhagya, and people will have their own bhagya, right? So when we know all of these things, then why do we get emotional about it? Why do we get irritated about it? Because it is not just a thought, it is, those thoughts are charged with emotion, right? So there is so much intensity, no way, that kind of stuff, right? So like, why is there intensity? So and then there is a part of it which is getting ruffled up, or either we are not accepting the cycle or the role of the person or the predestined nature of this tapestry of the world, or we, in the name of that, we can sometimes become very passive and do nothing about it. So that is also not a right thing. But we should make a difference with our presence, which is coming from our original self. Again, original self is divinity, which is exuding peace, love, and happiness. If somebody is irritated and upset and then ruffling up, if I am in my original self, my presence will make them feel content, and then their irritation will come down. And that is a way to solve the problem. Rather than I getting irritated, I telling them like, oh, you should not be doing that, you're a Brahmin, giving a class about it. My presence should influence them, make them calm down, and then make a difference in their behavior. That is the direction in which Baba wants us to influence others' behavioral changes, rather than we getting bogged down by the or getting irritated by other people's behavior. So Balwinder, I see something. You want to say something?
Yeah, Om Shanti Bhaiji
Haji.
and Divine Family. Yes, I totally agree with you to some extent, not to the maximized degree. And the reason is if other person is my loved one, and if I use him or her as mirror image to identify my own flaws, own weaknesses all the times, then I will never be perfect. If other person is my loved one and his behavior is impacting me, maybe my child, my spouse, my mom, my dad, brother, sister, sister-in-law, because there is no way I can separate from them. No way. I have to live with them. I have to live with them, but I cannot continue blaming myself, seeing myself. Yes, I'm wrong here. I'm wrong here. I'm wrong here. I have this one flaw. I have this one. I have many flaws. If I continue using this concept, mirror image concept, then I think I will never be perfect. Unless I bring it up to that level that I am a soul. But the point is that during that hot situation, in that moment, I do forget that I'm a soul, other person is soul. Then we both get entangled into upset situations.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Once, Sister Denise, you might have heard, she made this statement. Sometimes we get carried away by emotion and we get really irritated and upset. At that time, tell yourself, I am a soul right now, not peaceful. I am currently not a peaceful soul, but you're still a soul, right? So the minute you start saying that, your attention goes to become separate from the emotion. So then you'll start saying that, oh, I'm a soul, but there is this peacelessness inside me, but that is not my true original nature. So that itself will immediately bring your attention back to shift the energy, right? Rather than, because most of the time our mind is preoccupied with the situation or the drama or the behaviors of the other person or the sanskar of the other person, or something will preoccupy your mind, right? The minute you say like, oh, I the soul right now I'm not peaceful, right? So okay, so the energy is not peaceful, now I need to shift it to become peaceful. So the story is secondary. The primary attention, primary concern for me right now is I am not peaceful. I need to get into that place of peace, right? And coming back to that mirror concept, the mirrors, we can rephrase that mirror as, oh, look, I'm not in my original stage, which means when other person triggers something inside me, it is a mirror telling that, oh, look, I'm not sitting in where I'm supposed to sit. I'm supposed to sit in the place of peace, but I'm off my seat. I'm off my stage. I am off my position. So when I'm in position, the power naturally comes. So the mirror is just telling that where am I sitting? Am I sitting in my position, or did I get off my position? So again, coming back to the first statement of original self, where am I sitting? You need mirror to see like, oh, is there something on my face or something on the face I need to wipe? That kind of stuff. Cool. Okay, thank you very much. So we have nice, beautiful messages here. Radhamani is telling we need to do a PhD on our first stage. Girija Ben, check the speed of effort because of the time getting closer. Okay, so make yourself very comfortable. The next 120 seconds. Try to look in the mirror of your heart. The position where you're sitting. The stage of the self. That original self. Try to feel that original stage. Very peaceful, very natural. Very much at home in this position. And this position is very radiant, exuding love. From this position, you can see everyone's original stage. As an angel, very dear to God, very close to the divine family. The rest of this day, make yourself very comfortable in your original position. Make it as a concern. Very stable in your lotus stage, detached and loving. Oh, Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Harshabhai. Thank you, Divine Family. See you tomorrow at 5 a.m. Till that time, have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.